And it's live.
No.
Just check it's working. There we are.
Who wants to be Don Goodman?
Lovely graphic. Working, lads. It's working.
Are we on? Oh, that's thrilling. Right.
Hello.
Let's record.
The internet.
Welcome to the Match Ball on the Square Ball podcast. Got to say hi to Levi's solicitors who are in the house. Hello, Levi's.
Big reaction for solicitors.
Thank you very much for your support across this season, and you can get 10% off with Levi's by going to levisolicitors.co.uk/the Square Ball. And here we are then. Game 45 done. I'm Dan Moylan. With me is Michael.
In the same T-shirt.
I know, we should have coordinated, shouldn't we? And Moscow White, Daniel Chapman.
Well, you did coordinate, that's the problem.
Well, that's been a nice weekend, hasn't it? Been all right, that?
Stress-free. Didn't expect this, but absolutely pissed it in the end. After shitting ourselves all season, it's been so easy.
It's been all right, hasn't it? And we've got 90 points now, which is 2 points per game. A target I thought we'd never hit, but yeah, cruised it in the end, didn't we? I don't know what we were so worried about for the last 2 years.
Best game I've seen in ages, that one.
Did you actually watch it? Because like, most of that just passed me by.
Not really. I noticed that Derby scored a goal for us with the player who had Richard Keogh's hair, which is possibly my highlight of the game. That's all I took from it, really.
Oh, bit loud there. There you go, this is me faffing.
Unbelievable.
We have to faff because I can't lean down to the thing like this, can I?
No,
You've short microphones unless
you whisper,
this.
yeah. Okay. Well then, if we've got nothing to talk about from this match, should we just pack it in now and go
I must
home?
admit, when the third went in, I had to check the score, and I thought, well, if we scored 3, I didn't be watching properly. But Shackleton scored, didn't he? Which was nice.
He did. Who played that through ball?
Roberts.
That was it. Tyler Roberts, wasn't it? Yeah.
And what was beautiful about it was Tyler Roberts played that through ball, and then if you keep the camera on him, he goes like this, fucking score! And it's great. I don't think you get that from any other playmaker. Diego Maradona didn't used to do that. He just used to put a through ball through and go, put that in, you wanker. Whereas Tyler Roberts, he knew exactly what he'd done and he knew exactly what it needed.
It was a lovely day, wasn't it? The whole thing, and what a weekend it's been. Because what did you feel on Thursday? Because it was your birthday on Thursday, Moscow, wasn't it?
16th.
Was it? Was that Thursday?
I can't remember.
He's 40 years old, by the way.
I did have a birthday at some point, yeah.
And still 7 stone when soaking wet. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So Moscow's birthday on Thursday, and it was a massive anticlimax, wasn't it? That Barnsley went out.
We won. It was the Barnsley game, and we won, so it wasn't that much of an anticlimax.
Did you not find it? I found the whole thing really, really stressful. It was like all the 2 years of stress piled into 90 minutes.
I think Leeds being really good has been the worst thing that ever happened to you, though.
I'm enjoying it now. It's just amazing how like the mood has changed and shifted over the weekend. And part of the theme that we wanted to tap into today, and the reason why we did this today, and we're at the Brudenell, by the way. Support your grassroots music venues and so on and so forth. Brudenell in Leeds. Thank you to Nathan and the team for having us. It's to circle back to the Grief Cast, because when we started doing the match ball, we said, it seems there's an appetite for this, because when we lost to Derby in the playoff semi-final last year, I don't know if you remember that, we got into the studio. We didn't know what to do, did we? We were bereft. And we gathered on Lowfields Road on the way back to Michael's car and said, now what do we do? And Moscow was insistent, like, you just wanted to go home, didn't you, Michael? And I was like, I don't know. And Moscow, you said, let's go record a podcast.
Moscow told me into it. I just wanted to go home and not speak about football ever again. But
yeah, I was aware we had a safe room that we could go to and we could talk about what had just happened. And it worked. And for some reason, letting other people listen to it seemed to work as well.
And
have you listened to it? I'm not sure I ever have.
No, I got home after we'd recorded it, went home, opened a bottle of wine and listened to it about 4 times in a row until about 4 a.m, just over and over again, because the only reassurance I could find was my own voice, and you too, but mostly me.
Love the sound of your own voice, don't you? No, I agree completely. I did the same thing. I went and sat and listened to it a couple of times. I just didn't know what to do. I remember after we finished, just sitting there, just staring into space with my earphones in, and we wanted to circle right back round to this, and because we finished on Derby, well, not quite finished, but to play Derby today and to close that circle. it's been fucking great, hasn't it?
And to know that Derby is shit.
Yeah.
It does feel finished, because if you think what just happened this afternoon against Derby, what's the Charlton game going to be like? If that was a mess, what's it going to be like when you take that crowd of drunken idiots and put them out and let them beat Charlton 5-0? Which, as it turns out, all that stuff where Bielsa said, you've got to be ultra fit, you've got to work hard, you've got a body mass index, no drinking, no cake. Fuck it, don't matter. Derby apparently is shit, and they represent half the championship. We probably could have won the league drunk. And that's a real...
Derby have tried a few times.
We
and with the cake as well, looking at Wayne Rooney.
We could have won it drunk, but not driving. Important distinction.
Best tweet I saw about Rooney today was, and the person who tweeted it will have to forgive me and excuse me, but was saying that he's a KFC box-to-box midfielder. That is what he looked like.
It's great. The first goal, and I'm kind of glad... Derby scored first, didn't they? We went 1-0 down.
Yeah.
And that kind of sparked everything off. And then Pablo scoring 2 minutes later. And it's the potato who watches. Pablo has 2 shots, and his first one's a bit rubbish. And you can tell as it bounces towards him, he knows, I'm not going to score from this, but I'm going to try and volley it anyway. And the potato just stands there, and he's just like mashing himself, and it's watching as the ball comes back to him, and he places it bottom corner, and he's got nothing to do. The other great one was when he headed our cross, and it was almost an own goal, and then he went for his hair as he was like, fuck, I've headed the ball, my hair's going to fall off. There was a great moment in the commentary where they said, Derby next season, they might look for some championship experience, because I think they've learned Ashley Cole, Wayne Rooney, whatever experience they've got, irrelevant, rubbish.
There's different attitudes there, because you've got him and Pablo basically the same age, and Pablo is the leanest he's ever been, in the best form he's ever been, and Wayne Rooney he's got the thickest, fattest neck I've ever seen on a footballer. He looks like he's about to pass out. True, yeah. Andy Reid.
I hope Derby force him into another contract. You said you'd play next season. Oh, God.
It'll be 32 Red who do it, won't it? See the back of those guys now. But how far have we come since that grief cast? That's what I wanted to kind of tap into with this one. It's just been a phenomenal...
It's not that far. We went from 3rd to 1st. It was well easy in the
But
end.
I mean, emotionally more than anything. Don't you think?
I think we've lost a bit of trust from last season. Like, that's why I've been panicking for a lot of this season. When actually, it's been pretty straightforward. We had that bit in the middle where we dropped, and I think we lost at home to Sheffield Wednesday, and it did feel a bit like we were messing it up. But then we came back and we won loads of games, and prior to lockdown, it looked like we were well on our way. And we came back, and there were a couple of bumps with Cardiff and Luton, but like generally speaking, we've done incredibly well. And had Brentford not hit the best form they've ever hit, ever, we would have been up ages ago. So
we would have romped it.
It has been quite straightforward. I know it's weird to say it, but and I know there were tough games, like when we played against Barnsley and weren't great, but loads of teams win without playing well. It's just that we're so used to playing well and not winning that when we played badly and won, it felt like a massive miscarriage of justice somehow.
It wasn't just tough games. We went 11 games and only won 2. I looked at that today and realised,
Is that true?
we were actually fucking poor for a while. We weren't, because we were playing Bielsa ball all the way through, but that was the results over. It was the Birmingham 5-4 and the Millwall 3-2 were the only games we won in a run of 11. And that ended with the Nottingham Forest one where we won, and then the Brentford one was the 11th where we drew. And then after that, it's 5 wins in a row, and we didn't concede a goal. So it got mad bad.
Speaking of that Forest game as well, after that, they were pretty sure they were going to overtake us, weren't they?
They were.
And they have lost to Barnsley today and are 20 points behind us.
I'd forgotten anybody else played today.
Yeah, they lost to Barnsley in the last minute, so they're 20 points behind us now.
Is there anything we need to know? It's the championship. No. I don't actually care.
Don't care. Yeah, never watching it again. Poxy League. Piss off.
Yeah, we are doing its Premier League next year. Do we need to start thinking about that yet, or are we just going to enjoy this for the rest of the weekend?
I mean, we'll win the Premier League, so it's fine. So I don't think we necessarily need to think about it.
Second year back, we win it. Obviously, we finish 4th, and then straight into the Champions League, win the Champions League whilst winning the domestic trophy as well, obviously. Michael, you've been terribly, terribly negative for a long, long time.
Correct. Rightly so.
Enjoyably so. Where do you stand financially now, then?
I don't even know. I completely lost track of it. I've put bets on across that many bookmakers that we're going to mess this up. I think I'm at least a few £100 down this season.
Good.
And at the end, I was due to win literally like £10,000 if we didn't go up. Because the other day when we beat Barnsley, I think we went to Skyers at like 250 to 1 to not go up. So I put £35 on it. Just to make sure. And it's fine.
It's insurance money.
It's insurance money. It's gone. I've got, life insurance as well. I'm not looking to die anytime soon. Though I did feel like it yesterday. But it's fine, yeah. And that money's gone. But it's money, in fairness, it's dirty money because I won it betting on us to lose against Derby last year. So it's all fine.
And Moscow, you've been relentlessly positive throughout, even when he was wobbling and I've kind of flitted between the two. What made you so convinced we were going to romp this?
Adam Forshaw. I trust that man implicitly. I don't know, it just... we were top of the league, weren't we? So it was kind of... It felt default, and I trust this group of players more than I've trusted
Steady on, Gary. Gary
team.
Monk.
I didn't just say group, I said of players. See, that's the thing with Gary Monk. He never specified what group he was trusting. It was just, it could have been group dog drill. It could have been any kind of group. I was heartened when after who did we lose to recently?
Cardiff.
No, it was the Luton game, wasn't it, where we drew, and that's it. We drew, and they had a meeting the next day and said, drawing ain't good enough. We have to have a team meeting and sort this out. And the Nottingham Forest game that we talked about, this isn't good enough. We have to have a meeting and sort it out. If you think back to the Chileno era, they wouldn't have had a meeting because they all hated each other and nobody could speak. We had from Gaetano Berardi, God bless his injured knee, that when there was that first season, they were unable to communicate between the Italian players and the English-speaking players. This lot, they've all been there long enough and they all wanted it enough, and after last season they weren't going to let it go enough that I just thought there's not a way in the world that they don't do this. But then there was also a big part of me that was thinking, we are nailed on for failure. Don't think I was not disguising my fears. All throughout that exterior confidence, I was well aware it could have gone two ways.
It is weird. I think normally most clubs you accept that they won't just go from being absolutely terrible to absolutely brilliant to being absolutely terrible again. Normally there's some sort of logical line drawn there, and having been really good and kept basically the same manager and the same players, it should have been the case, and it has been the case, but you were still sort of worried about it. I don't know. It felt like there was some special Leeds formula playing into it where we would still manage to be crap.
We do defeat it sometimes. So Leeds United are Leeds United, but Leeds United also won the First Division 3 times and won in Europe and won the FA Cup only once. Should have won it many more. But we do occasionally, good things do happen from time to time. And given...
Put that on the badge.
Given that this is, instead of a Leeds salute, good things happen from time to time. Maybe can we have if the badge was unveiled tomorrow, obviously we saw the Leeds salute thing and everybody hated it. If it was Victor Orta with his binoculars and that was going to be the new badge and we said you can have that for a year and then we'll replace it with something perhaps with a little bit more class, would we be all right?
I think Victor Orta with binoculars was perfectly classy. I just saw no issue with that whatsoever. He's taken them. He wasn't even just doing it with his hands either. I presume he had to go out and buy them just to wind Derby up, which I completely applaud.
I hope he's broken into a theatre to get those binoculars. He had a thought last night, I'm going to break into the do they have a theatre in Derby? If they do, probably not.
He didn't only do it for 30 seconds as well. It was like a good hard 5 minutes of just to make sure, if there's anybody in Derbyshire who has not seen me doing this yet, can you please bring them to see?
Mel Morris didn't, because he had little fogged up glasses. Did you notice that when he went to him in the crowd? Because he had his mask on, he was all fogging up. Pathetic man. Delighted to see him upset.
It was a brilliant ending, that, wasn't it? It was just the perfect... I mean, we don't ever get...
It's not the ending, we've got one more game.
No, but I mean, we don't get like a perfect outcome. We never get a perfect outcome, or it feels like it. But going back to what you were saying, that Moscow about us winning the league 3 times, you forget that our angst and existential terror with Leeds is like, it's only 15 years old. It's only a decade and a half we've been suffering. It's fine. But prior to that, actually, it was pretty good, wasn't it? Most of the 90s were fine for the most part, and then the Champions League era, and then obviously the bad man came and spent all the money and borrowed a load more and spent that.
Then another bad man came and spent no money.
Yeah. But at least he's lived to see
some other
it.
bad people came and took all the money.
But so I understand why we're scarred. But yeah, there's a club underneath this that I think we've shed that skin. And when I say the end of it, it just feels like the end of this particular narrative that we can just go lift the trophy against Charlton and stick two fingers up today to Derby. Because you see Click as well, obviously dancing around in their stand. It's like, this is my patch. I own this. It's great.
His breakdancing, but I think was bettered by the fact that Gianni Alowski did 2 breakdancing movements, and I think has done his hamstring. This is what it looked like. He was like, I can do that, and I can do that. And oh no, actually, I need a doctor now.
But he's brilliant, and one of the themes I've touched on over the last few days is that we get the new floodlights at Ellen Road now, going up over the West Stand, 45-metre pylons, just so we've got enough light in the stadium for 4K TV, and we get to see that lunatic in 4K now, which I think is brilliant. It's going to be great next year. But everything went perfectly right today, didn't it? Even falling behind made it nicer.
And we're never going to have to play Chris Martin again, hopefully, because he's been there forever, hasn't he? Did he score against us for Norwich?
Probably.
He was there in League One, I'm sure he was. He's been there in all of our darkest moments. He's just been there scoring, and he's crap, isn't he? Really, he's kind of glass ceiling was the phrase I had used earlier for Chris Martin. Like the Championship is absolute limit. He's just about all right in there, but he's not good enough. But we don't have to play him again. No, we have to play an altogether more terrifying set of footballers, which is not necessarily good.
You're not looking forward to Patrick Bamford against Virgil van Dijk? I think that's going to go swimmingly. Nothing can possibly go wrong.
Bless him. I really felt for him. I don't know if you saw the Sky post-match interviews there when he was saying he's so grateful to Bielsa for believing in him, and I wanted to give him a hug myself, like all those hugs that we saw on that video, because I've watched that so many times and probably cried 95% of them. It's brilliant.
Patrick Bamford, and I've been as critical of him as I possibly could be, is the striker that got us promoted, and that's all. I don't care after that, and I grew to love his very weird bones through the season. It became where it's like it was annoying. At the start of the season, we thought he's not scoring enough. Maybe we can replace him. And then you realise, like, if Eddie Nketiah is going to come and he's just going to twist his testicles and not bother, and then Kevin's going to come and he's just not going to be fit enough to do it, and it's going to be him all season. You just realise, I guess he's part of the family. It's kind of like you think, well, maybe your sister's going to get a different boyfriend, and like you won't have to put up with this guy. And she ends up marrying him. It's, oh, okay. Fair enough. I guess he's part of the family now, and that's kind of how I feel about Patrick Bamford. He is part of the Leeds United family, and he could have scored more goals. He could have scored less goals, but he scored just enough goals that Leeds United went to the Premier League as champions. So,
and you're right, actually. This was all about the ends justifying the means, wasn't it? Because we've seen failures from Orta, we've seen failures from Radrazani, but as I said the other night when we did the drunk stream, you've only got to get it right once, and we've got it so right this year, and it makes all the other stuff that went before it absolutely perfect. Moscow, because we've not seen each other for a couple of days, and you neglected to get on the live stream that we did the other night, how was it for you?
Promotion?
Yeah, because we've not spoken about it. Me and Michael obviously did extensively the other night, but
I did it till 4 a.m. with some almost naked men. I don't really know how it happened.
Yeah. Not for the first time, etc., etc. Yeah. Oh.
I watched the Huddersfield versus West Brom game, and I just learned what I've learned from Michael. I put into action was I put £2 on West Brom to win when it was 1-1 and there was about 10 minutes left, and then I saw that Huddersfield player get the ball in space. And it's one of those moments where you realise, it's like, you don't know anything about football, you're just a fan, so you don't know what it's like. But you think, he's going to score. And the ball bounced across the goalkeeper. And then it went in the net. That wasn't what was supposed to. That was so unexpected.
I knew that was going in when I saw that through ball. It was like the one at Stoke, wasn't it? When Pablo played in Dallas.
But then when it did go in, you know it's going in, but then when it's actually in the net, you're like, what? After 16 years, it's kind of 16 years goes by so slowly and it ends so quickly. It just didn't make any sense. And yeah, I had to go outside for a while. And then yeah, Saturday I was away. I was with my parents, and so I saw the Brentford. I saw them take the lead on my phone, and then just ignored it, and then realised we'd won the league, and just had to. There it is. It was very different from Bristol Rovers, like that game of tension, those 90 minutes where it's all concentrated, and then you're on the pitch. The Barnsley match becoming in retrospect so important, and then those days, and I was talking about it with somebody before about how before everyone's like, do not go to Elland Road under any circumstances, be very sensible, but then you look at everybody go down there and you think, crack on. I'm sure you've all done a risk assessment, and that's fine, and you would never begrudge anybody that moment, but it was a very strange way to get back. I still don't feel like we're there until we're actually in a stadium watching Liverpool at Elland Road. Are we a Premier League club? Yeah. Something could still happen. Don Goodman might be writing a furious letter now saying, listen.
We may never have to listen to Don Goodman again.
That was the other thing.
Hang on. We've got a child bringing us some shots.
Oh God.
Thank you.
Oh, we may.
It was...
I was sick extensively yesterday, so this is great news.
What was the game last night that was on?
And I'm driving, and this is live on the internet, so I'm not quite sure how that works.
You can have one.
Yeah, it's fine.
You can have one for driving. It's Derby. Come on.
Right.
Get in the spirit of things.
Cheers. I'll sip it. 1, 2.
Delicious. Taste of promotion.
Thank you.
Cheers.
It was... I think the game yesterday, it was Andy Hinchcliffe talking about... no, it wouldn't have been yesterday. It would have been the West Brom one. Oh, we've seen some great games in the Championship, and it's fantastic that Leeds United will be in the Premier League next season. I was thinking, yeah, you won't be fucking commentating on us anymore, will you? We're going from fucking Keith Andrews. We're actually going to get Roy Keane talking about us next year instead of the fucking pound shop.
He'll hate Alioski as well, which will be great, and Bamford.
Who's he going to like? Name a single player in Leeds United's team that Roy Keane liked.
He might accept Phillips.
I think it'll all be about.
Like his hair.
That's true. Yeah.
It'll all be about Bielsa, because Bielsa handed Ferguson his arse, didn't he, that time in the whatever trophy it was, European competition with Bilbao. So that'll be nice. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's been strange, hasn't it? What about you, Michael? What was it, West Brom, Huddersfield? For the benefit of anybody who didn't see the live stream the other night, and we're putting this one out on the podcast, what was it like for you?
It was weird. I didn't massively celebrate because I was just by myself, and it was weird because I celebrated the goal going in, but then I was just watching injury time, and my wife came in because I'd sort of explained to her what needed to happen for us to go up, and she was like, "Are you up?" And I was like, "Oh, there's like 3 minutes of injury time left, but yeah, basically they're not going to score twice." And she was like,
"No, really, isn't it?"
And she was like, she was going to go, "Well, are you happy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am," but like, it wasn't meant to happen like this. I'm watching Huddersfield. Like, this is not how Leeds get promoted. I wanted it to be, Pat Bamford scoring and running on the pitch and all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, it was me sat by myself, just in an office watching an illegal stream.
And I'm convinced that's what's cost the Cowley kids their job.
Yeah.
You won promotion for Leeds United. You cannot carry on as Huddersfield Town managers.
The Yorkshire Club. The Yorkshire Club, yeah.
Bless them.
Yeah, same for me. I cried all over an 8-year-old boy, my own. I should probably add. Just didn't know what to do with myself. Just striding up and down like a maniac around the room. I felt like something else should have to happen, but nothing else happened. The game just sort of played out, and we were promoted suddenly, and then within 24 hours we're champions, and under similar circumstances.
We have some love for it. Was Strollberger for Barnsley, wasn't it? And then
Strollberger doesn't sound right.
What was he called?
Just remember Sol Bamba, Michael.
Solbauer.
Solbauer.
Yeah. Strollberger's good though.
And then, we've got to get used to these names of our new heroes, and then it's Emile Smith-Rowe, which is a barreled name rather than a double-barreled name. And I think the distinction is that there's not a hyphen. And I didn't know this was a thing before. So he's not only helped Leeds get promoted by scoring for Huddersfield, but he's taught me something about naming conventions. And then who was it that scored for Brentford?
No one scored for Brentford. They lost.
Stoke.
Against Brentford.
I don't know. Some Stoke player. Probably Ryan Shawcross.
I knew his name. I felt like he was quite boring. I'd hoped for it'd be somebody... Gregory.
I played for Halifax Town.
And hasn't he been playing for like 30 years? Lee Gregory feels like he's been around the divisions forever. Maybe that's just the... And next year we get to play against David Luiz. And he's new. He's a new footballer to me.
And he's not very good.
Well, even better, so we'll win.
Just going back to the theme of the experience and having a moment, I said earlier on, because Jamie's been here from BBC Radio Leeds, just getting a bit of audio and stuff, and I chatting to him earlier on saying...
Clang. Can I
Yeah.
ring a gantry bell for you being on BBC Leeds?
Do you know what?
I think calendar as well.
I might have it in my bag, actually, the gantry gong bell. That if there's one thing we can take out of not being able to see this, it's that every single Leeds fan around the world has experienced the promotion in the same way. That's the one slight positive I think we can take out of it being like it has been.
Although it's been marginally worse for everyone, which has been a shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been going to that ground for decades and it's been awful. I deserved a better day.
It's your
But
fault
never
for buying.
mind.
It's your fault for buying a 20-year season ticket. You brought it on
Yeah.
yourself.
Did you
Get some
actually?
value out of it though now.
Did you get some refund
Premier
off
League.
that? Did you get some refund?
I took the crowdy and the vouchers and stuff.
And
Who did you put in
Who
the
did you put in the
crowd?
crowd? Yeah.
Ken Bates of Wyoming. with the body of Vern Troyer. I got involved on Photoshop to put that together. I've been trying to look out for him. It was a shirtless Vern Troyer with the head of a councilman from Wyoming called Ken Bates.
Does Ken Bates have anything to say about today's performance?
Wyoming, Ken?
No.
No, actually, do a Wyoming accent. That would be great.
I don't even know what it is. Where
Go
is
on.
it? I don't know
Oh,
where
you
Wyoming
see.
is.
I want to see you repulse these people in this room who've been kind enough to stay with us. Go on. Do it. Shirt off.
Yeah, look. I quite often send you messages. And you've got to do it with water in your mouth. You basically do a Cockney accent, but try not to dribble. And that's all you do. And Leeds United are champions now. But that's all very well and good, but what about Freddie Mercury? We are the champions. They didn't even play it. They didn't even play booking all over the world. So I'm not sure promotion can actually count. Kevin Blackwell took the team to Wembley. And Dennis Wise would have done an even better job. He would have stuck around, but he didn't.
What?
What?
What was that?
Dennis Wise would have done an even better job if he could have stuck around.
I thought that's what you said. Yeah.
But he wouldn't be bothered. And that's why, just like my own sons, they don't speak to me anymore.
That is factually accurate as well, isn't it?
I've not got a clue what you were saying.
According to reports, yeah.
According to reports, Ken's family don't like him, do they? You've looked into this once. There's one of the Bates children who's got like massive issues with him.
Yeah, one of his sons was convicted of drink
Careful.
driving at hundreds of miles an hour down a motorway because of, I think it was to do with Ken's interference in his marriage, was it? Certainly there was a big problem with
I
one
think
of
it'd
the
probably be
children.
best
If
not to
Levi's-
speculate whilst broadcasting
we
live
have
on the
Levi's solicitors in the room itching to give me 10% off by going to levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. So I think I'm fine. I can say whatever I want about Ken Bates, or at least I can TikTok, because you can't libel the dead.
We.
We've got a lot of material to release, haven't we? At that point,
Oh God.
we've got some about his bank in Ireland. We've got
It's
the
all
British
out there,
Virgin
isn't
Islands.
It?
It's
No,
all
it's just us repeating the stuff that everybody knows. And I don't know how I feel about him still being around to see us promoted. Whether
I think it's great.
he'll hate it.
yeah, I think that's probably the best thing that the thing that he could never do.
Do you know?
And
He barely even tried to do it. Though,
There
did he?
is not a hotel there to stay empty throughout the whole thing.
You beat me
It's
to the punch when I
possibly-
was about to say exactly that. So we managed to get back to the Premier League without a hotel, which I didn't think was possible. but we did it.
It would have funded at least 3% of Kiko Casilla's wage, wouldn't it, in that hotel?
With reference to Ken and the fact that we started doing all this nonsense like 10 years ago now, off the back of the Man United game, January the 3rd, it's changed a lot, hasn't it? And I think we should probably give a lot of credit to Radrazani for getting it right and coming in and dealing with some of the absolute maniacs who've gone before him. He's done a great job,
I
hasn't
want to give an anonymous shout out to the person who, when he was being interviewed on Sky, said, "Ask him why he hired Heckingbottom."
Who did that?
Well, I wouldn't like to say.
In this room, you mean? Or on the telly?
A person in this room.
Right, okay. Nice.
It's a fair question. It is weird that we've gone from... I mean, I quite like Thomas Christensen in his own way, but we went from Steve Evans and Heckingbottom to all of a sudden the greatest man. I'm not even going to say manager. The greatest man in the world. And he deserves full credit for hiring him, because it showed a level of ambition that this club has not shown in years. Like, all we ever wanted was for them to show at least an interest in being promoted. But like, to go back to the first season in the Championship with Grayson, when a bit of money might have gone a long way in just buying a defender or two and just making that little push, and instead we basically did finish 7th that year and then sold Max Gradle, and it was the winding down of an idea. Whereas this summer we just fell short, and we managed to convince Calvin Phillips to stay, and we bought Helder Costa and we got Jack Harrison back, and it was actual effort to go up and to put football first for a change, which is all we ever wanted, was to have a team that was at the forefront of the football club, as opposed to a hotel and a conference venue and all the other shit that no one actually cared about, but we were forced to endure.
Yeah, there was probably a decent argument in the Chilino era for going from Steve Evans, and when people have asked, like, what is the lowest point of the last 16 years, and I feel like it was Steve Evans. We've had worse managers than Steve Evans. I think we've had worse managers than Chilino, but the two of them, when it was after so long of what had come before, just felt like the depressing lowest point where you thought, we're not going to get better than this. And that's why at the end of Steve Evans' season, I was one of the people who was saying, that's what let's keep him. Who else are we going to get? What other mad manager are we going to get? We'll just stick with it.
That's what I always resent Bates for, is lowering expectations.
And then to go from that, so then you thought, and now we know what we know about Gary Monk. So you thought Steve Evans, Gary Monk, okay, this is kind of footballing. If we could have stayed like that, where it would just be like, oh, you go Steve Evans, Gary Monk, Thomas Christensen, Paul Heckingbottom, meow, meow, wow, wow, and you just go, and we just stay in the Championship forever, and instead of being 15th forever, we're edge of the playoffs forever. And instead, they've managed to just go, Marcelo Bielsa, fuck it. And I think I'm sure we could go to them and say, is that a fair summary of your business plan, circa summer? Is it 2018? Summer 2018. Marcelo Bielsa, fuck it.
And it worked.
And given the amount of money it cost and the amount that they had to go in on it, yeah.
But cheap on reflection, because he made a team of awful footballers really good and into heroes. Which who thought Calvin Phillips was like a future England international, and who thought Liam Cooper was this good? Like, he's basically gone a full season without really making any mistakes. Which, when we think back to the Liam Cooper we initially saw, like, he was constantly doing stuff wrong. Admittedly, because under Kiko he still did, but he mainly had an idiot playing behind him. But he was all over the place.
The game that Matches Click got deported back to Holland for, Liam Cooper against Cardiff kicked a Cardiff player in the chest for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Having just been booked.
In the first half.
I mean, you can understand it. Looking back, you understand it, don't you?
And it's those incredible, and the fact that players like Liam Cooper have grown up so much, and now you look at them and you think, absolute paragon of nobility. And the captain who took us to the top division, and the player who will lift the trophy on, is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday. And I can't think of anybody who deserves it more, apart from possibly Gaetano Berardi, purely because they came in the first Chileno summer. and their first manager at Leeds was Dave Hockaday. And that was, I was reviewing it. People may not remember the debates on Twitter when Sam Byron was asking what colour socks he should bring because the club was no longer supplying socks. So he tweeted I think it was Jason Pearce, who was the captain at the time. I was like, what socks do I need? And they said, you need plain socks. Oh, okay.
Can I bring my own
go some
sandwiches?
plain socks.
Can someone make them for me?
It was Luke Murphy who was making the sandwiches, and I think Matt Smith was supplying some pasta meals and stuff. But they've survived through that, and I would... The fact that Cooper and Brady have stayed so long, I think, is a big contributing factor to the fact that we've done it this year, because we needed players like them and the players who kind of missed out under Monk and the players who missed out last season who hurt the way that we hurt as well and came back this season. When you saw Luke Ayling after that Nottingham Forest game looking like a fan, and it wasn't like somebody who just turned up, it was somebody who'd been here for a while, not 16 years, but been here long enough to understand the pain involved and then understand how good it would feel when we got promoted, as we have been, as fucking champions, as we have been, and turned up drunk to a game in Derby and won 3-1, as we just have done. And it's so much sweeter that they were along the way.
Let's pull it back to that then today, because it is the match ball. And
oh yeah, I think the fact that we lined up 4-1-4-1 was really tactically.
I was actually just going to talk. I was going to talk about the Guard of Honour as well, because that was funny, wasn't it? Just seeing little Wayne Rooney there.
No.
Yeah. Well, far away maybe. I don't know. Maybe he was a long way away. But yeah, that was beautiful. It was poetic.
It's a shame it wasn't the exact same set of players from last year, because a few of them escaped anyway. Like Frank Lampard managed to...
We should have forced Lampard.
He managed to weasel his way out of it, didn't he, basically?
Philip Koku, nobody has a problem with Koku.
He's a strange-looking fella, though, isn't he?
I mean, that nose has been places, but we should have brought Lampard back and made him stand. And watching Keogh should have been there with his crutches in the air.
Yeah.
Or recreate it, bring him back in the back of the car.
You'll have seen Victor Alter with his binoculars, though, and been... on the phone to the FA. Can't you do something?
It was quite telling, wasn't it, that the Derby fans, who, when the video went up of Leeds fans singing on the steps at the East Stand, "Stop Crying Frank Lampard," that the Derby fans jumped on that. It's like, he's not even your manager.
They were weirdly obsessed with him, just like they were weirdly obsessed with Wayne Rooney. Like, these people don't care about you. They were both there for... Frank Lampard was there so he could get a better job. Wayne Rooney's there so he can get paid and live in England, because he probably finds American food too crazy for him.
But that was beautiful, wasn't it? The Guard of Honour, that performance, when it was Sunday League rules, wasn't it? Just throw up on the side of the pitch, have a bit of a trot round, see who's least ill to get the victory. But we absolutely took the piss out of him in the end.
Shackleton, what a goal. I love Shackleton. I'm glad he's got a goal. And it built on and we talked about Hernandez's goal before, and then an own goal from then. It helped. It needed them to score against us. And I think when Chris Martin didn't celebrate, it was maybe with that foreknowledge of like, oh shit, they're going to score now, aren't they?
And we did.
And that's the way Leeds are now. When we're pissed off at going behind, even if we are half cut, we'll go and win 3-1. I thought maybe we'd sneak it 1-0. I didn't think we'd win 3-1 after going behind.
I feel like all season as well, Pablo's been the one who, when we've gone behind and when we've needed a goal, he's just been the one to go, right, everyone get out of the way. I'm just going to do this myself. And he did it again today. And I saw a poll on Twitter, actually, people saying, is he a legend or not yet? And I think for what he's done in the last few weeks for us, I think he probably is. Even though he's not been here as many years as a lot of people, but I think he has changed the course of this football club potentially forever. So I'm willing to give him that status.
And he has been here a long time. It doesn't feel like a long time because of how long we've endured 16 years, and we remember dropping out the Premier League and thinking James Milner will be. That was one of the things that the summer of 2004, after we got relegated, they put James Milner in the first championship season kit. He is now the future of Leeds United, and then a week later we sold him to Newcastle.
Was he on the side of the club shop? Have I made that up?
It may
Probably.
have been, but I found the photo, and it's like the last photo of James Milner in the Leeds kit is of him. Our great. We've just sold Alan Smith, so. But James Milner will be in here. Well, do you like Simon Johnson? And it just. Well, I mean, Simon Johnson did his best for a long time, but.
How dare you slag off Simon?
I didn't slag him off. He was.
He wasn't James Milner though, was he?
He wasn't, and the fact that we're now talking about James Milner being like he's so close to retirement, surely. It's been
a long time.
It's as if I wish I could remember what the start of that point was.
Very good, Moscow. What does it mean to you personally, Michael?
It just means the return of Leeds United as a football club. I mentioned the other night that I used to be massively into football, by which I mean like the Premier League, and I used to know loads about it, and I knew every squad member of all the teams, and as I was younger, I'd get like stickers and things, and I would literally be able to name the starting lineup of every Premier League team. And then we got relegated, and I basically just stopped caring. I just thought this is beneath me to follow the Championship in the same way. I'm not bothered. I'm gonna wait till we get back to the Premier League, because this isn't the level we should be at. And in many ways, I've followed Leeds just despite the football, because it's been awful. Like in the main, it's been absolutely terrible this 16 years. We've had a high point with getting promoted from League One, but it's been dreadful. I mean, how many years of good football have we seen? There was basically a couple of years under Grayson, and then a couple of years under Bielsa, and the rest of it's been absolutely terrible. And it's
A whiff of hope under Monk for a season.
A little bit, but that team was never that good. Like Chris Wood was in really good form, and Kyle Bartley and Pontus were quite good. So we won loads of games by a single goal. But we weren't actually very good.
I mean, we had the whole back four. It was Kyle Bartley, it was Pontus Janssen, Kyle Bartley,
Luke Ayling and Berardi.
So
That's
it was. I texted Oddie, who should be on this podcast, because he's in the room and he can't pretend he's not part of it.
Yeah, come on, Oddie. We've got a fourth mic. Let's get the band back together. Come on.
Come on.
Come on. Yes, he's coming. He's quite old and he's got to climb up onto a stage now.
I said to him before
Might be an issue.
that watching the game today reminded me of the games when we used to watch in the East Stand.
There it is. Oh, back's gone. There we go.
And you'd give up at half time and you'd go and watch it on telly and it would be rubbish. And you need to come in because you're not on the screen. Round here. Come on.
Screen.
Oddie's got family. You got family down there as well, Oddie, haven't you? This is
What's the language?
quite a moment. Yeah. Tell Moscow he's the one who's
It'll be there in a second.
effing and jeffing.
He'll be there shortly.
Singing here next.
This is the original crew back
We've got
together.
the band back together.
We have.
Yeah.
How was
You
it?
alright?
How was
Where
it for
have
you,
you been?
Oddie?
Never been.
Where the fuck have you been?
I've been stuck at Radio Air for the past 6 years waiting for you to call. You don't write, you don't phone.
Well, how was it for you?
It's good. Thanks. Can I go now?
No.
I'm going to say what you...
Talk us through the last 10 years, Oddie.
Where do we start? Where do we start?
Your children have all got loads bigger since we were last promoted.
They're all bigger than you.
Yep. Not hard.
Which is not hard, to be fair.
Who was on the pitch out against Bristol Rovers?
Isabel, which is down there.
And how tall was Isabel at that point?
About as tall as Michael is now, so...
She was 6.
Yes.
In the same way they measure, like on the news, they measure everything like by double-decker buses or jumbo jets or whatever. You measure everything by Michael's. Yeah.
I'm a bit bigger than Lee Johnson, just to be clear, to put a scale on it.
Yeah, when you stood on a milk crate. Yeah. No, but talk us through your promotion experience.
We went driving around Leeds. So we jumped in the car, scarves out the windows, down to Ellen Road, buzzing around Ellen Road, which is mental. And then just soaking up the atmosphere.
Flares out
Which
the
is
window.
why I ignored the invite to the promo cast the other night.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, hasn't it? And we've come an awful long way. An awful long way.
Can I just make a point as well?
No. We've heard from you now. You're done. Off you go. Now go on.
Where's my money?
You never used to talk on the podcast.
I couldn't get a word in edgeways because of you two.
How does this compare to the promotion in 1956?
Now, can I just make a point about when we started the podcast way back, many moons ago, and you used to give me pelters for being old? You're all now that age. Let that sink in.
We don't look it though.
You do.
I'm 63. Is that right? No. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it is really good to have you back on, and it's lovely to be sat here 10 years on after we started all this to finally be back there. But I mean, for me, like my frame of reference, because I miss Bristol, but was being on my dad's shoulders at Dean Court and bawling my eyes out again. So it was nice to cry again when we went up. It's the last time I think I've cried happily at football.
Get on your dad's shoulders again?
Yeah, no problem.
Fairly sure Dad looks so hard. He's about 60 odd, and he looks like he could crush me like a paper cup.
Well, I've said before, my dad's famous for being one of the first 3 names mentioned in the service crew book. But Dave, Pete, and Jack in Shipley. My dad's Dave. Yeah, he's been around a long time, and it's his fault that we're burdened. Oh, I'm burdened with this anyway. It's been bloody hard work.
I would say, I mean, I'm old enough to remember 1992 and my first game was when we lifted the trophy against Norwich City at Elland Road after it was all won, and that was under weird circumstances as well, where it was we had that mad game against Sheffield United, and then it was Liverpool winning 2-0 against the scum that meant we won, and then the actual match against Norwich, don't remember a thing. I remember the main thing I remember about that, because I was such a youngster, was we got a free Whisper bar on the way into the South Stand, and my dad, bless him, fell asleep because he was never really a football fan.
Should have called it quits at the free Whisper, to be honest. That would have been free Whisper and then lifting the title. That should have been the end.
It was great, and Rod Wallace scored a fantastic individual goal, and you think, you don't need anything more. So this weekend, when it's been kind of that Bristol Rovers game existed on its own, where you could be on the pitch and enjoy it all, whereas this weekend, where it's another team has got us up and then you go and celebrate in a different way, it's kind of nobody's missed out on anything, I think, if they've enjoyed this. I worry about people thinking they've missed a moment this season because of COVID or whatever, like they wanted to be in the stadium, but as it turns out, being in the stadium, if we'd had crowds, it wouldn't have made any difference, because that Barnsley game was the Barnsley game, and then it was Huddersfield beating West Brom that got us over the line. So however anybody celebrated, whether they went to Elland Road, whether they stayed at home, whether they did whatever, all those different ways, it's the way you did it, and they're all the same, and be happy.
It just occurred to me, Moscow, as well. You spend your life, I think you sort of, for people who know you, will know you kind of exist in this kind of slightly retro bubble, and you entered football exactly at the moment when Sky came and took it over, and yet you hark after a pre-Sky dream.
Well, because we didn't have Sky. So
you said Radio Leeds, fuzzy Radio Leeds.
Exactly, I lived in Cheshire and I was listening to Radio Leeds, so it was fucking rubbish. And the main football I saw for the first 5 years of the Premier League was Central TV, which is why anybody who wonders why I love Mike Whitlow so much is because he was playing for Leicester with Simon Grayson, and I could watch them playing for Leicester and watching Bobby Davison playing for Derby and Bob Taylor playing for West Brom. So my early years of Leeds United was watching the heroes of the 80s trundling around the 90s on ITV, while all you flash bastards who had Sky and all lived in Yorkshire got to watch Leeds United. So it's been, but the memories of the Premier League I started when coming over in the UEFA Cup seasons and spitting feathers at Willem Corsten when he went to Tottenham and all that stuff, and I hope it was always kind of fun, the Premier League. I don't know, I think there's been some regret in retrospect when people look at the late years of Wilkinson, that we were finishing 5th and we didn't get into Europe because of qualification rules, and then we finished 5th again and did, and then Coca-Cola Cup final, but because we lost it was rubbish. Actually, they were fine in retrospect. It's better than League One anyway.
I need to give a shout out to the Bradford branch of the Leeds United Supporters Club, actually, whilst I think about it, because I went on the bus down to Wembley for the Coca-Cola Cup final against Villa. It was April, wasn't it, when we played them? Was it April, about that time? Something like that.
It's too early in the season.
I was 17 anyway. I was about a month off my 18th birthday, and I got absolutely shit-faced thanks to the Bradford branch. Set off at 6 in the morning for a 5 p.m. kick-off, and we stopped. I think, is it the Barn Owl, the pub at Luton that a lot of away fans always went to? Yeah, it's been demolished now. I think it's a housing estate or something, isn't it? Going there at 9 in the morning and being, 17. I mean, in Bradford we were going to the pubs at 15, but even still, you're not used to necessarily breaking the seal at like 9 a.m. And then drank all the way through to kick off and just again cried. There's a theme here developing. We're crying, but
That's Leeds United.
yeah.
One of the saddest things I've ever seen at Wembley was coming out of that ground at the end, a massive Leeds United flag just in a crumpled heap on the floor. Somebody couldn't even be bothered taking their flag home. That's how disappointing they were.
Yeah, the symbolism of that's horrible. But then you look at all this, like coming back to today, the symbolism of all the stuff today, and that's what's been so delicious about it. The binoculars, everything just perfect.
It just reminded me that I watched the Watford playoff final here in the Brudenell Social Club, and I'm now remembering. I can't remember who it was, but there was some people. I could see Nathan. There were some people on the phone. They thought that somebody at the ground had a heart attack, and they were all on the phone going, it was absolutely frantic. And then it turned out that he was just pissed, and he was so pissed he'd been stretched out. And it was one of the first games as well where I'd seen there was like an 18-month-old kid was drinking like a pint of bitter. And so it's
Don't get him shut down.
It's kind of interesting to see how much the Brudenell has moved on. But also, just like that's a game at Wembley, and you think, that should be brilliant, and it wasn't. And none of the last 16 years. Well, no, not the last 16 years.
Was it Cardiff actually? It was Watford.
Well, wherever it was. It was one of those fancy pants stadiums where we've generally not been allowed. But League One, I suppose, League One actually, we were top of the league for 3 seasons, and so it was kind of entertaining. I can remember being in the Royal Park next door, sliding across the carpet on my knees when Johnny Howson scored that goal that took us to the final. But you wouldn't... it was the years after League One, I think, that it was that real rapid descent where there was no control. Like, it happened too quickly for anybody to realise how bad we were becoming. And then it's coming back has taken so... When we got promoted 10 years ago, you thought... And it would have been... So it's June now. So
but we nearly bounced through the divisions, didn't we? That was the thing.
We were so close to going back up, and that would have been fine. It's been the 10 years since that have just become such a grind. And then... But would we have had Marcelo Bielsa? Would we have had Berardi, Alioski, even Bamford to enjoy and appreciate and go...
You've changed your tune on Bamford. It's like you've had a personal vendetta against Bamford all this season.
Well, as I was saying before, it's like you just become to love him for his foibles, and the only thing he's lacking is that ability to score.
That's one thing I think I can't remember because we were drinking, but on the live stream the other night saying, I hope the players understand, and if we ever get a chance to speak to them either on this podcast or, via some means or another in the wake of all this, it'd be nice to explain to them and just say, look, all that shit you get online, none of us mean it. It's just because we're dead anxious. That's all. It's just a manifestation of 16 years of terror in these divisions, and we don't mean it. We love you all really, and you're brilliant.
Yeah, it's that difference between people who put a player's name in as an at and go, I hate you, and call them on the names of the sun, and then other people who are just totally frustrated that player can't deliver what they need them to do after 16 years outside of the top division, which I've made this point to a few. Leeds have never been lower than the top 2 divisions in 100 years of their history until Ken Bates and Dennis Wise got involved. And we've never been this long outside of the top division until now. So the last 16 years have categorically been provably the worst Leeds United have ever been in their entire history. So it's understandable when you've got a striker that isn't finishing every chance, and you've got a goalkeeper that isn't saving every shot, and you've got players that aren't superb, that you would please be fair.
We're there now,
Which
though,
is
aren't
what
we?
it all
But
came
we've done
down
it
to.
now.
And
Don't matter.
that's the glorious thing. It's over, and now that entire squad of players. It's not like you're ever going to look at Pat Bamford and go, "Well, I wish you'd scored 3 more goals than you scored." He scored all the goals we needed to get promoted. We let in as many goals as we needed to get promoted. Calvin Phillips smiled as many times as we needed to get promoted, and everything.
Speaking of which, we've closed the gap. I'm just looking at the goal difference now. We've closed the gap quite a lot on Brentford, who are at 43. We're at 30. We're plus 38 now.
Oh, I thought there were rainbow. I thought it was rainbow shots inside them.
Right, Bina.
Oh, well, cheers for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody's playing Pump It Up in the audience.
I think we're being played off.
Yeah.
Is the vibe I'm getting.
All right, back onto right now then. What do you do from here? What do we need to add to the squad? That's a question for you.
A striker.
Sign Berardi with his knackered knee up
Yes,
for another season.
I'd take him.
I felt really bad for Berardi today. I feel like we need to talk about it a bit more because he's pissed. Hopefully, I hope he is pissed. Because a lot of players at other clubs didn't want to play, did they, if they were out of contract? Like Charlton had a few, and there's been other people who've said that they didn't want to jeopardise their next contract, essentially, by playing. And Brady never did that, and I don't think any of us ever thought he would do that.
He should have got more pissed. That's where he's gone wrong. I get the feeling that Bielsa picked the team on who was less hungover. So if he'd got more hammered over the last couple of days, he might have been fine.
So, yeah, I don't know. I hope the club are good to him if he's badly injured. And if not, I hope we sign him up anyway. And, if he decides not to stay...
Fucking hell, I mean, you can't. I feel like it makes a decision.
Cheers, by the way.
If he's too injured to sign for anybody else,
Doesn't
give
learn.
him a contract and it's all done.
So Michael doesn't learn. I'm just saying he's sat here throwing shots back.
He'll be right.
It's fine.
I do feel sorry for Brady that he won't get that career-defining promotion game at the ground if he's not going to be here next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he
And a
did
lot of
it.
the players, but
I feel like all the other players are going to be here still, aren't they? And he's the one that's
Yeah.
been here the longest, and he might not be here next year. So it is a shame.
He did. He signed before Cooper, so he is the longest-serving player. But I hope, even if you don't have that moment, I mean, I'd always like to be a professional footballer, but you hope you kind of project, you hope that professional pride. He did it. Even if this season he wasn't first choice, every time he came on the pitch, he was brilliant. And that's what it is all part of. It's always been a squad game for that football.
What else do we need to add to this squad then? More goals? John Kevin Augustin?
Well, if Ben White leaves, a centre back.
He's not leaving, is he? We're
Mainly.
keeping him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it belongs to Brighton, but we can...
I mean, if there was a player,
Chain him to us or
if there was a
something.
player you wanted to see stretchered off, unable to play for the next 3 months, it would maybe he can rehabilitate. Izzy Brown recovered brilliantly at Thorpe Arch. We'll give Ben White the same treatment. You don't need to worry about it.
Like when they break the keeper's hand in Escape to Victory just so Sylvester Stallone can play.
I did say when Berardi went off and Ben White went down afterwards, I was like, I'm Ben White getting injured all that much because we're not going to get to keep him. Just send him back in a box.
It's probably our best.
Sorry, but thank you for the use of him. He's been very good, but I'm afraid he's broken.
Liverpool won't want him with a broken knee. But Leeds United have proven that's how we like our defenders.
That's just triggered a memory of not my next door neighbour, but the people on the other side lent them the strimmer for the garden. Just gave me it back broke it. That was it. Sorry, it's not working anymore.
We could have
Thanks. What have you done to it?
Berardi and Ben White lining up in the Premier League next season, both in leg casts.
A leg
And
from
it
each.
Just to trigger some contract payments.
Do you know
your
what?
neighbours not know your dad, by the way?
You're sorry.
Do your neighbours not know your dad?
What, send him round with the boys? Yeah. We try not to talk about him. Keep him under wraps when we really need him. I'm looking forward to us pillaging other clubs for players because it's happened to us so often. I like to think if there's anyone good at Norwich, might be, we'll take them.
Becchio's still there.
Yeah, believe so.
Okay.
And
We need a striker.
and if Brentford don't go up, we'll have Ben Rama.
Yeah.
Why not? Something like that. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Just to,
I don't think we need huge amounts. I think the target next season, it's so weird with all the COVID stuff that we kind of, if the season starts in September and we can't have we'll have 50% crowds in October and whatever. I want us to stay in the division next season, so that if hopefully things are back to normal by the season after, still in the Premier League, and then we can have 35,000 or 40,000 at home against Liverpool and Man City and Man United, and do it then. So my target for next season is just stay in the division. And the team that we've got, I think, I don't see any reason why that lot can't finish top 10 in the Premier League. I had a couple where we need, and we probably need we need at least another striker, if not a better one. We'll need a centre half if Ben White goes, and if Berardi can't be fit enough, and if Pascal Stroik gets a haircut. I assume all his power comes from the fact he looks like David Hasselhoff. Although if he keeps that haircut, he can play. But we don't need to do too much next season, I don't think, to stay in that league. And the target next season for me is stay in that league.
Well, the teams that went up last season, you wouldn't have put Sheffield United as being the one that were pushing for Europe.
Maybe we should bring Chris Wilder at sack Bielsa, get Chris
Are
Wilder.
Villa down yet?
And he'll get rid of Bamford.
I'm looking forward to Villa coming down. That'll be fun. Let me have a look at the table.
Are they going to get a big points deduction or something as well? Because they definitely did break loads of rules. Be funny, wouldn't it? We could get Jack Grealish. That'd be nice.
Just to not use him. So Norwich are down. Bournemouth are all but down. Wow, didn't realise that. They'll be pleased anyway.
I'm glad Bournemouth are down because I've been sick of their little good news story down there because they spent loads of money to get up, way more than they should have done, and now they're down. Good. I know it's spiteful, but fuck Bournemouth.
And we've gone up without having to trash Bournemouth this time round.
We still could. Someone get the train timetable.
Oh yeah, that actually reminds me. The booze baton was up for.
Southampton have got it still.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Bournemouth breathed a sigh of relief then after that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's only a hop, skip and a jump down the
we
south
can
coast.
finish above Southampton. We've got a better team than Southampton.
It's what we were saying.
They're a mess.
We were saying this on the stream on Friday. I'm looking down the list of teams now in that league. I mean, I know Nigel Pearson's kind of got that. He's got that Rambo vibe.
He's quit. He's gone.
What?
Apparently, I don't know if he's quit or is it, but yeah, the news came through. Apparently, he's not Watford manager anymore.
Really?
Is he still angry?
So all right. So Rambo's gone from there. But you look like West Ham. They're crap. You can't tell me that Bielsa's not going to outthink David
we'll
Moyes.
hammer
Newcastle, Steve Bruce. You look at that list of managers. Sorry.
We were better than Newcastle in the Championship. We just didn't get the results.
The Premier League has changed. They've just noticed Sheffield United and Burnley are above Arsenal, who I assume will beat us 5-1.
The whole thing's fucked, and that's part of the hope. Is that the whole thing is mental. It's bizarre. It's a strange league, and it's a league where Luke Ayling can be the best player. And we've got him, and I absolutely have every faith in all the players that Leeds have played over the last 2 games. I don't have a problem with Pascal Stroik playing. He came through the Ajax Academy. I thought that shot that he tried was good today, considering he was pissed. It's fine.
Who do you want to come up with us?
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't want West
Fuck
Brom.
'em.
I don't really. I definitely.
Fuck them. None of them have earned it, have they? Name a single other team in this championship that has earned the right to get promoted alongside Leeds United in 2019-20.
The Leeds United under 23s.
Yes. We'll have Leeds United under 23s and we'll have Leeds United women, and we can have them all up into the Premier League. I don't care what. And
All right,
Brentford can complain if
what's your serious answer?
I think us West Brom and Brentford have been the best teams. I'd say undoubtedly. Fulham underachieved massively given the squad they've got. But I don't particularly like. Well, I didn't mind West Brom until I watched them the other night, and then it turns out I hate them. So, and then every time I've seen Brentford, I hate them. So
I think the strength of argument for West Brom is purely because of that hug between Bilic and Bielsa, and he seems like a reasonable-ish character, does Bilic, doesn't he?
Yeah, Bilic is fine. Bilic's nerve went over the last few weeks. He was the one who was talking about, I'll be watching Leeds play and I'll be watching this match, whereas it was beautiful that Bielsa was saying, even after the Barnsley game, like, oh no, I won't be watching any of the games. Whereas Bilic,
which is a lie because he watches every game.
Yeah.
No, but he will have been watching a West Brom game from like 1982. Will have been. I really need to check.
Bob Taylor looks dangerous.
What about we've got Brentford as well, and there's the whole Janssen thing. I don't want them to go up because I don't want Janssen to go up. Loved him when he was here, but now he's not. No, I do. I don't want them to come up. Thomas Frank, 'cause we've had an axe to grind with Thomas Frank this last few weeks. I don't want them to come up.
No, but just
No,
because
but
his managers are no bad.
We might
Jansen's still okay.
we might get to pinch some of their players.
That's the biggest reason. Is if we can sign all their strikers if they don't go up, then that's
Yeah, like
good.
looking at the playoffs, I don't want any players from Forest or Cardiff. So
God, I've not even considered.
And that's the other thing, yeah. Who else do we want that will,
I don't want
will
Cardiff
definitely
to go
finish
up
below us? Like
because-
Cardiff will come up and then go down again.
I'm looking forward to not playing Millwall and Cardiff next year.
Yeah.
So if they could stay down, that'd be nice.
Part of the whole reason of wanting to get promoted to the Premier League is, we want to play Liverpool, we want to play Manchester City, but I'm just fucking sick of playing Millwall. So if Millwall got promoted with us, if Cardiff got promoted with us, it would just ruin the whole thing.
Well, Millwall will do well because they're 5 points off the playoffs.
They'll find
and
a way.
They've got one game left.
They'll
so-
find a way. But if Cardiff under Neil Harris is basically Millwall, it's the same colour shirts and it's the same manager.
Millwall 2.0.
Well, the other thing as well is if Fulham do come up, that Scotty Parker, it'll keep him in a job, and I don't think they really like him all that much down there. You get the sense with the fans.
I wonder if they might just get rid anyway. Even if he takes them up, they might. They did that. Didn't they do that last year? Last time they went up with Jukanovic, didn't they just? bin him?
Yeah.
They ditched him. He'd be a good manager.
Who did they get instead? I can't even remember.
I don't care. Really.
So let's go back to us going up.
Was it Mick
And
Hennigan?
how it feels. And Moscow's about to fall asleep in the next half an hour. We've seen this before, haven't we?
Have your shot. Come on. Down the hatch.
I'm still. Go on, Moscow.
I won.
Birthday shots. There we go. I'll tell you what. I have this one because I am driving.
That's
so-
right. I'll tell you what. We'll
Don't give them all to me.
we'll share these. This would be nice. Oh, actually, we've got one
You
each.
can have that one. And then
We've got one each. There we go. Lovely stuff.
thank you,
Chewy.
Rob.
Thank you very much. It's delicious. My favourite drink. Just saying thank you.
Ballsy, so we'd shut up.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up in a couple of minutes then, because we've been going on
He's
for an
watching this on
hour.
a dodgy street.
All right.
He's still catching up.
I was just going to. You can do if you
Very
want.
welcome to do so.
Yeah, keep us off the streets, wouldn't it? Yeah. The final thing I was going to say before we do wrap it up was we've got one game left to
That's
finish
going
off.
to be hilarious.
We lift the trophy on Wednesday. We'll get another guard of honour from Lee Bowyer's Charlton. We could potentially send them down. Are you asked?
Oh,
No, I've got really mixed feelings on Lee Bowyer because I loved him at the time. He gave me some great moments, but like he was a bit of a prick, wasn't he? Really, like the whole Mill Hill incident wasn't great for us, and the way he left wasn't great.
yeah.
I don't know. It's very tough. He's Bowyer.
It's
He's
the
probably
contracts that came after whereas if he'd accepted the fine. and-
Talking to the mic rather than reclining. That's a good
If he'd
point.
accepted the fine and all that stuff, it would have been 30 years ago or 20 years ago. It might have helped, but he's changed. He spent all that time fishing in France, didn't he? And had some time to think. So he's going to come back as a bit of a different person.
I mean, haul her down, basically. That's a shame, isn't it?
we should. I don't think we mentioned it in any other context because there's no reason to. But then being 7-0 down at half time the other week was brilliant.
Yes. Enjoyed that.
Just really, really funny.
Does
Just to check in.
Does it make the fact that we lost to Wigan twice in 2 seasons feel a bit better? Is it almost like, oh, well, I mean, look what they did to Hull. We were lucky to keep them down.
Just regards to Hull, they were about like a point outside the playoffs, weren't they? Before they went into the January window, and now they're bottom.
They deserve it.
They did sell everybody in January, though.
They did.
Which doesn't help.
They're only 2 players, didn't they? Really.
They sold their best players to West Brom, and look where that got West Brom.
So what? What do we want out of Wednesday? Talk me through your dream scenario.
Sheffield Wednesday, I want Gary Monk sacked.
21-point deduction.
Yeah.
Bottom of the league.
I want Tom
relegated.
Lees to have a gold-plated 1,000-year contract.
Yeah. Okay. I meant for Wednesday when we play Charlton.
How are those shots settling with you?
I would like Chris Waddle to have a new contract.
Somebody shut him up and
This
answer
is
the
going to
question.
drag on a while,
Honestly,
isn't
yeah.
Let's just win again.
I'd
while
like a
taking the
win,
piss.
Dan,
Yeah.
in answer to your question
Thank
about
you,
10
Oddy.
minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the occasion, though, I mean, more than anything, obviously we want to win.
And I'd like a really good result score-wise, to beat Brentford's goal difference.
Yeah.
I want Ilhan Meslier taking a penalty with his head.
I want Berra to score the goal that wins the game on crutches.
Crutches, I don't think they're allowed on the pitch, are they?
It's weird to not give a shit, isn't it, going into the last games?
Yeah.
Just being like,
When
whatever.
we've had plenty of dead rubbers before, though, at the end of the season.
It was weirdly like watching Leeds between the years of, well, what was it, 2012 and 2016, something like that. They were the worst years, weren't they? Today was like that when you're watching it thinking, this result doesn't matter. It's the same difference anyway, but in a good way this time.
I remember when we've been selling the mag outside the ground, and there were, I think you'd spoke to some guys who'd come down from Scotland. I spoke to some guys who'd come up from Cornwall or somewhere, or come up in minibuses, so they're like 10, 15 people coming up in a group. And I lived like 10 minutes, so when I couldn't be asked coming down to the ground. And these people were making a massive journey to go watch Leeds, and you're thinking, have you not seen them play? They're dreadful.
With some.
Sorry about the swearing.
Thanks for the drinks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
He'll go far, that one, won't he?
And we would sometimes turn up as well, and we'd forget who we were playing because you were like, "Is it Barnsley? I can't remember." Like it was just you just turned up there because it's what you did, and there was.
We
there was
turned up because we
nothing
had a
better.
magazine to sell, basically.
I'm sure it was a game against Birmingham City.
Cheers.
I think it was a game against Birmingham City. We were in the Peacock and they were showing Champions League football, and there was that moment. It was like I had like half a pint left, and I didn't make it into the ground until about 8 o'clock. It was 7:45 kick-off. Didn't bother going in until about 8, and it was just out of duty. And it was the Steve Evans era, and as I said before, he's not the worst manager we've had. Dave Hockaday really plumbed those depths, but it was just that feeling of like, why the fuck am I still bothering? But it was dragging yourself in and realising that there was only like 11,000 other people were bothered in a 35,000 capacity stadium that would have been a 40,000
They weren't
capacity
bothered either.
stadium.
They were there for the same reason you were, because they had a ticket,
Exactly.
and that's what they did.
Exactly, and we lost, and that was the thing. Is like it wasn't even worth it. You think, okay, well maybe we'll beat these and that. No, we fucking didn't.
Yeah, I get it as well, because when I spent my years working in Newcastle, driving up and down 5 days a week, midweek fixtures, it was fine because I had an excuse not to go.
Yeah.
And obviously you can get into sort of North Yorkshire when you can start picking up BBC Radio Leeds or whatever, and I'd flick it on for 5 minutes. Oh, okay, and just turn it off again. Because I could, and I was glad.
I had that flavour where you're supposed to be a super fan. You're supposed to go to every single fucking game. You're supposed to be dedicated. It's like, why? Like, why would you force anybody to put themselves through that? And anybody who during those years just went, oh no, fuck this, I can't be asked. I love and respect every single one of them because their point of view is absolutely valid. Because why the fuck did anybody bother with Leeds United from 2012 when Grayson was sacked, I think, to let's give Gary Monk the credit. So when Gary Monk was hired, to when it started to get a little bit interesting. Those years.
Has it been worth it?
Yeah.
I think people do romanticize those years of being like, oh, occasionally you hear people saying, oh, it was better when these part-timers weren't here, and it wasn't. Like, it was grim when the stadium was 20,000 people. Like, looking back even on the League One years, we were good. Well, we were good-ish because we were in League One, so it's got to be relative to the level you're at. But we were quite good in that league. And key promotion games, there were like 23,000 people there because it was Category A, and it was like Walsall or something, and you were being asked to pay 38 quid to watch some what I would consider to be amateur footballers.
Even the games we were getting relegated out of the Championship to League One was like 36,000, 38,000 attendances because people were there. There has also, historically, I researched a book. I don't know if anybody wants to buy one.
You wrote a book? You get that quiet.
But there was kind of a little bit of a morbid interest. But there was something about those times where people were invested in, Leeds are going to stay in the Championship. But when it became Leeds getting out of the Championship into the Premier League after so many seasons of not, it really reduced the people who, not even the people who cared, because I couldn't even tell you that I cared at that point. I'm not even sure I gave a fuck. It was just the people who had, I guess, paid for a season ticket and had no other choice other than to drag themselves through the turnstiles and see what was happening. And yeah, then you got those little glimmers with Gary Monk, and you think, oh, he might be all right. And then Thomas Christiansen had us top of the league, and he did, and I will love him forever.
I don't like the fact that that's become part of the Leeds United bottling it story, though, because when we were top of the league after about 7 games, and people were like, oh, Leeds always bottle it. Look at that. It's like, well, that season, actually, we would, apart from that first bit, we were not ever going to get promoted, really.
No, Thomas Christensen did a great job within his limits, and he did everything he could. And I think it said everything when Paul Heckingbottom, who supposedly knew more about the league, came in and made us worse. I don't
Can you
think
do a Christiansen voice, Michael? I keep forgetting.
I can't remember what it was like anyway.
Well,
He was sort of high pitched and well.
He was just very high pitched, wasn't he? He was.
Can we get your Farker on this? Because we've not unleashed your Farker on the podcast yet, have we?
Oh, Daniel Farker, yeah, very good, of course, yeah, no problem, yes. It's very much, oh yeah, where are we going to go? I should be on my summer holidays now, but instead I'm back in the Championship. Oh, it's absolutely terrible. I hope the slides are open. I've booked an all-inclusive to Mallorca, and I'm very much looking forward to it, but maybe the pancake bar will be closed, I'm not sure, because it's the COVID.
Flight of fancy, I love that. Very good, very good. Right. I'll give you a round of applause.
Thank you. He might feature again this year. He's going to be probably sacked, isn't he?
Yeah, probably,
if
yeah.
the Cowleys are sacked, he should be sacked.
Why aren't we? We're not going to sack Bielsa, are we, next year? So
No,
show me.
no,
There's not going to be, because there will be people, and this
We'll
is
be
where
12th in the league and it'll be rubbish.
This is where I am going to have a go at part-timers who will go on Radio Leeds and say, get Sam Allardyce in, because we should never get Sam Allardyce in. Or Neil Warnock again, or Tony Pulis, or who else is there? Alan Pardew. None of these people.
Mark Hughes.
That just begs a question, because we've forgotten to do heroes and villains, which we normally close out the podcast on. So, villains, obviously, whoever it was that forced Berardi to land awkwardly and twist his knee today. That was evil.
Yeah, and Berardi did manage to injure Tom Lawrence before he went off, and he was part of that.
Did.
Yes.
He was part of that derby thing last year, so that was good.
Berardi's first tackle was sensational. And now
A good man and ball tackle. Victor Orta, a hero for the binoculars that he's had to go out and source from somewhere.
and that he used for hour upon hour until he was filmed.
And then Click for being in the stand as well.
Yeah, that was very good.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it, I think. I'm probably taking it all in.
I'm going to nominate Wayne Rooney for a villain for getting annoyed when people were criticising him for England. I never used to enjoy watching England with Wayne Rooney. Like that, there was a Euros right at the start when people still thought it was all right. And then he just ruined England. Him and John Terry just made it watching England. I didn't even want him to win it, really, because I didn't want them to be there for it, because I hated him so much. So I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's terrible. I'm glad he can't run.
There would have been that moment of if Man United's England had won the World Cup, it just wouldn't have been pleasant, whereas we can at least look back at 1966 and say that, I mean, Nobby Stars is Nobby Stars, but the Charltons balanced themselves out and we had Norman Hunter in the squad, so...
And the next tournament we can have Calvin Phillips is England.
And
of course,
England's Ben White.
You remember watching the 1966 World Cup final as a grown man.
Me and you were going to fall out, sunshine.
You had a hard day at work, and then you went
Any more heroes and villains then? If not, we'll wrap it up. Quick, rack your brains.
Alioski for trying to break dance and injuring himself. If he actually plays against Charlton, I'll be very impressed. But it looked like he did 2 moves and his hamstring went, and then the camera cut. And I cannot love that kid anymore.
Well, the whole lead squad for heroes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
surely.
They've all done it, haven't they? It's maybe Kiko side. I was surprised.
There was a little bit of a backlash I saw from one internet maniac today who had, like, he was following 3 accounts and had no followers, so he just clearly created the account just to have a pop at you, Michael, for criticising Kiko.
Well,
I mean,
Of all of them.
for what? For what? For being? Was he criticising me for having got him for being a shit goalkeeper or a racist? I'm not sure.
he's not a racist. He was found guilty of saying a racist word, but they found very clearly that he's not a racist.
Okay.
We should just
For
say
saying
that.
a racist thing.
Levi Solicitors in the corner nodding along there going, yep, well done.
All being a dreadful goalkeeper, which he is. There was a bit today, in fact,
Oh,
when it was. Who was it involved?
Here we go.
Ailing.
Ailing, yeah, when he bounced off
Ailing
his
had just
shoulder.
come on, went off his shoulder.
Kiko causes mayhem.
Yeah,
He shouldn't be
if Melier
involved.
had been in goal, it would have been fine. And yeah, we need a better goalkeeper than Kiko Castillo, and we need one that says nicer things. And that's basically what it comes down to. I would like a goalkeeper who says nice things.
With the baritone voice of Meslier.
I mean, Jesus, what a beautiful voice he's got. And I think that's probably what Luke Ayling was surprised about. Is like if you're tuned, okay, we need to clear this, and Barry White is going to tell me if he's got the ball or not, and you don't hear that, panic. So we need Melier to assert himself.
And the biggest hero, the man himself, Marcelo Bielsa.
He's done it all. It's all down to him. This we saw this squad of players without him, and they were terrible. And now they're heroes.
And we're brilliant, and we're going to the Premier League, which is nice. It's a really nice thing that's happened.
It's all right, being a Leeds fan, isn't it?
Who'd have thought, eh?
Who would have thunk it?
Let's wrap it up then. Thank you to Levi Solicitors for your support, because you do keep us off the streets, and we do this like as a job now. Can you believe? So thank you so much for your sponsorship and your support, and hopefully looking forward to tying in for the next season. And if you want to get your discount with Levi's, levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball, 10% off.
Yeah.
Personal and
if
commercial
they don't
services.
sign up for the next season's sponsorship, then obviously choose another solicitor.
85 years of brilliant lawyering, and if they don't sign up, it'll be mediocre lawyering.
I've not found a single reason to fault them
Yeah. Yet.
in the last 85 years.
Oh, do you remember when they were founded? Etc.
I'm going to have both of you in the car park, I think.
And listen, we appreciate it. Thanks for staying around for us, and thanks for listening to the Match Ball. We'll speak to you in a bit.
Glad we got you.